Hello, sorry about the shakiness tripod. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the hiatus. As you can see, a bit has changed. We have moved into a different apartment, I now have a different job. So there's a lot of things that are going on, including the grow space and my personal life that has kept me from recording. But I'm back and I'm so happy to be updating you all on my collection with regard to the summer season. So I think my last update was like April, May, and right now it's August. So this is sort of a July, August update. Well, really, I feel it's a July update because I like to do an update toward after the month is over. So in this update, I'm going to let you know about all these factors that have changed with regard to the grow space. Same shelves as you can see from the last apartment, but I now have a north-facing patio window and an east-facing window that faces the sunrise. So I normally keep my blinds a bit closed in the morning because the sunshine is so direct, and then I completely open them sometime in the afternoon because the sunlight isn't direct anymore and it can fill the space as much as needed. Excuse me. And then around the sunset time, which right now I believe is like 7:38ish, the grow lights do come on to allow my collection to maintain a 16-hour light duration for the summer season. I do adjust the lights accordingly. So jumping into that with this east window setup, I do adjust the lights accordingly based on the season, which is something that I've stated in many of my videos. But because I have an east-facing window which allows for ample light for a houseplant collection, I don't need to run my grow lights for the full duration that I need anymore. So before, I used to run the grow lights, for example, if it's for 15 or 16 hours, I would run the grow lights for 15 and 16 hours. And now the grow lights come on during sunset to allow the plant collection to have a full duration of 15 or 16 hours. And then in my fall and winter videos, I'll update you on how I scale the light back so that the plants are aware of the season change. So now that I have a window that gets ample sunlight, I'm really curious as to when I'm gonna be turning the lights on and off and how much sunlight I'm gonna get in the winter time. Hopefully I'm able to keep my blinds completely open during the desert winter, but I'm unsure because I've never had an east-facing window in this environment. Now, moving along to temperature. So as you can imagine, living in the desert, I have a very warm, hot climate. So in Fahrenheit, this window here maintains about 80 to 90 degrees. Right now it's at 78, but that's also because I'm off today and I have the AC on 75 instead of 77, which is what I keep it on when I'm at work. So right now the temperature is a bit on the warmer side, or for us people who are native to Las Vegas, this is very cool. Anything under 80 degrees is almost cold out here. But anyway, again, my window temperatures are normally around 80 to 90 degrees during the day, and then at night, they're between like 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I do apologize, I don't have the Celsius calculation. Well, I didn't do it before the video, and I don't feel like doing it right now. But anyway, the temperature again is warm to hot during the day and cool to warm at night. In addition to having this, ample light source with regard to the east window as well as the grow lights, excuse me, the plants are going to work more. So although I do try to maintain my humidity, which allows, the plants to stay, the pots to stay moist a bit longer so the plants don't have to worry about running out of anything since they're working more. I do still struggle with that, but it doesn't go to zero here in this apartment. So naturally my humidity is about maybe 20 to 30%, And then, you know, I actually have my plants right near my washer and dryer. So when I'm washing clothes, or on days like this where I'm just home all day and the blinds are more closed than not, the humidity does go up to about 40 to 50%. But that's like the cap. When I was in DC, the humidity was like 70 to 80% on the norm, and 100% was the cap on rainy days. Here, a rainy day is far and few. Now, jumping on to water with regard to rain, my watering I have been able to maintain 1 time a week. I have switched my fertilizer to something that's a bit more all-purpose so that I can fertilize my entire collection, orchids and non-orchids, with the same leave-in fertilizer. I can't think of the word. This is not an advertisement or anything, but I do find that this Osmocote Plus, I don't know if the Plus is any different from the regular one, but they didn't have the regular one at my grocery store. But this has been proving to be very well. And there are great results. We'll get some zoom-ins of the collection as I go through the video, if I haven't started doing that by now. But the leaf growth actually started to move a lot on my plants once I added this fertilizer to the pots. And I will show you, especially on my Schilleriana, which I thought I was gonna lose. She's right over here in the corner, and we'll get a close-up a little later because she lost all her leaves on one side because of sunburn and because of something else I'll get into with regard to the decline of some of my houseplants. But sticking back to the watering, again, I have switched to the all-purpose fertilizer. So I'm a very lazy waterer. I plant my entire collection in very water-retentive material, so I don't have to water often. And I use that same method. I don't know what I want to say. Methodology. Whoa. I use that same method of thinking toward fertilizing. So I just throw a few pellets in all my pots, and the fertilizer is slow release, and it only comes out when the plants will need it. It only releases when the plants will need it, which is when it is very warm during that growth season. And when it's cool, the fertilizer actually does not release from the pellets, so you don't have to worry about fertilizing when you shouldn't be doing that. And it's just great because it's just one less worry. I'm already freaking out. As you can probably see, especially with the avocado tree in the corner and my big bird of paradise, a lot of my plants had suffered very bad sunburn because when I moved here, I left the entire collection on the balcony and went to work. And when I came back, they were burnt. There were so many leaves that were just burnt to a crisp that was just beyond saving. Thankfully, there were leaves left, so, you know, there's a lot of topical damage, but overall my plants are okay and bouncing back, especially with that really good fertilizer. Well, I think the fertilizer has proven to be something that has aided my entire collection into bouncing back. Not only do I have ample light, but they have ample nutrients that are being fed to them for every watering once a week. So with regard to watering, I still am in a bit of an expensive habit because I still purchase all my water. And you know, I can't say that it's particularly expensive because the water is very cheap, and again, I only water once a week. But just the fact that I have to buy water as opposed to just getting it from the tap makes it expensive regardless of the price. So I basically do try to buy, for anyone who's buying water, a great tip is to buy infant water. It's the same, you know, either distilled or reverse osmosis process, so there's no minerals in the water, but it tends to be cheaper in the baby aisle, but that's still what I'm doing. So trying to make this video as short as possible, I'm going to get into some of the pros and cons, and because I'm experimenting with different areas, I think that's where we'll go. So first, with the grow space, I do grow in these east-facing windows with light. So that's a plus, plus, and plus because I always have an ambient light source that is manageable. Again, my last apartment was a north-facing window entirely in entirety for the apartment. So I didn't have any light outside of turning my grow space on. And again, right now I don't got to turn it on much. I did experiment with putting plants on the balcony, like my avocado tree, and that didn't work. So we won't be doing that ever again. I might try it out with some plants during the winter time since the sunlight won't be as harsh, but honestly, the moving back and forth, I may not. I have some plants in a setup in a north-facing window near my sofa, and we're gonna jump over there in just a few moments. But just to give you an idea, let me open my balcony. So just to give you an idea of the balcony space, my plants were all here on like a table and on the stool on my balcony, and this is east. So sometime during the sunrise, they would just get completely burnt to a crisp. And it was just bad. It was just really bad. So now, do I want to clean? No. My apartment's pretty clear, so we'll just walk over to the north window setup that I have. Let's see here. Excuse the shakiness and my messy sofa that the dogs lounge on. So here is my north window setup. And as you can see, I have a couple of houseplants and some orchids, but this window doesn't get much light. But these plants that I'm experimenting with, minus the avocado tree, which does need some water, looks sad over there. But these plants don't get a lot of light. This area doesn't get a lot of light at all. And another space that does not get a lot of light, let's go ahead and turn around. I do have a couple of plants on my bookshelf. So here on the shelf, there are a couple of plants minus the fake one in the gold pot. But yeah, there's a couple of spaces that I'm experimenting with, and as you can imagine, the plants in these spaces without much light do not grow very fast at all. Oof, my messy counter. Yeah, there were some plants on the counter there that I am doing some projects with and moving them into bigger pots with moss and orchid bark, but primarily moss. And I'm gonna upload, if I haven't already, another video of me repotting some plants into some very fine orchid bark. You can find some very fine orchid bark here because we live in the desert, and chunky bark is not gonna do any type of collection. And I don't think you can grow anything in like a chunky or a medium bark here in the desert. But yeah, just wrapping up this video, those are some of my experiments. I do have, as you can see, plants out of the grow space. The grow space is doing just fine. The balcony was a fail, and experimenting with my north-facing window and my bookshelf, which is getting very little light from the north-facing window, will be something that some new material that I'll have to update you guys on. And again, please forgive me for not cleaning my house for this video. It's my first day off, but I'm gonna throw my handles up on the screen. The Right Path is still my name across all platforms, Instagram, Facebook. I even made a TikTok, which doesn't have any material on it yet, but I figured I'd snatch the name up really quick. So I'll see you all in the next update or the next spotlight video, because I'm gonna be doing some spotlight videos on the plants that have prior videos, such as the Schilleriana and my Sweet Memory, which isn't doing so great. But again, see you in the next one, and thanks for tuning in.